Cloud. Facebook. Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh no, my other screen went white over here. What's that mean? What is happening over here? Oh, okay. Oh, it's telling me something. Okay, so I'm still working on some things here, guys. Hang on. Share in a group. Okay, let's go there. And here we are. Okay, now this part I've never done. I'm putting the Zoom into our Facebook page. So I've done that before.
Did not know that Zoom had that ability.
Oh my goodness, yeah, you can do a few things here.
Well, I didn't know you could do any of the things that Zoom can do. With the free version of Zoom, I will say, very different from the paid version. It is.
Quite likely,
Everything is different. It's weird. The UI is better.
Yeah.
You have more options. Like a calendar situation. I had none of that.
All right. Let's see. So just bear with me a few more minutes. I didn't realize you had to type all this stuff in here. I would have been ready with that.
No worries. Take your time.
Let's see.
You decided to go Ethereum today, Nick?
I saw that hat.
It makes sense, right?
Fair. I like it.
Oh, okay.
Someone had ETH Denver. Now I have a weird urge to get ETH Denver gear, despite the fact that I did not go. But someone was at Radical Exchange had like ETH Denver tokens that they were giving out, or like chips or whatever. And now I have a weird urge to start collecting items, like little crypto items.
Yeah. Can you show your watch face again? Why is it 6 something?
Because I'm lazy and I don't want to change.
Okay. I saw that earlier. I'm like, huh, that is not right.
I was gonna say you're pretty perceptive. You caught her. Funny. Okay.
Every time I look at my watch, I'm like, yep, that is not correct. It would probably save me time in the long run to just fix it, and then I don't have to mentally process every time. But I'll just keep doing it.
All right. I think we are ready to go here now, guys. Okay, well, hello, Education Product Committee members and Black Blockchain Consultant family and visitors. Welcome to a very special open session of my regularly scheduled Education Product Committee meeting. I'm Dr. Kecia Waddell, Executive Director of the Center for Blockchain Studies, and we are the education and training arm of the BBC. And we, the content creators of BBC, are doing our part towards BBC's mission to help educate 1 million Black people about blockchain tech and to find blockchain jobs, build blockchain and blockchain-related businesses, as well as invest time and money in blockchain projects. And speaking of projects, our special guests tonight are the co-founders of TryCrypto. And they are involved in some exciting decentralized applications that attempt to mitigate challenges of blockchain mass adoption in terms of password management, interoperability, and drag and drop smart contract design. How cool is that? So I'll let them talk about all of that a little later, but I do have some a few things that I wanted to cover before we got started. A little pause for the cause, a little advertisement of what we're up to with the Center for Blockchain Studies and Black Blockchain Consultants. And of course, why am I not able to locate it right now? Oh, it's waiting. Oh, there we go. A little slow. But anyway, guys, as you all know, or maybe we have some visitors here who may not know, but blockchain technology really is poised to bring some automated value and security to our exchange of digitized currency, digitized data, and other assets. So and other assets. So education basically is the key for mass adoption to take hold. So before we get into our interview, I want to make sure I share with you our library of courses as shown here, that we've designed within the Center for Blockchain Studies towards our goal of reaching 1 million Blacks across the diaspora. So again, I've talked to you guys, Chase here, I've talked to you about how our focus really is towards the non-tech professional. So our courses start off with, and our focus really is being blockchain consultants. So we have a certified blockchain consultant course that we've created. It's essentially our blockchain 101 course. And then certainly once you get into this space, you realize that it's not just about cryptocurrency. And so we have a smart contract course. And then certainly if you're talking anything tech at all, cybersecurity is critical. And there's specific things you would need to keep in mind with regard to the blockchain environment. And again, because our focus is building businesses, we have 2 courses that focus on business building and building your consulting company. We have a 6-figure blockchain consulting company course, as well as our 8-figure blockchain entrepreneur course. Because certainly this is what, a $3.1 billion dollar industry. I think we can take our 8 figures, right? So, also, we also know, if you know anything about blockchain at all, you know that fintech has really done a lot with it in light of the whole start with cryptocurrency and those concerns and how it's disrupting fintech. So I'm thinking, next things up really is healthcare. So we have a blockchain in healthcare course. And as we know from last year, the ICOs were really huge. So we have our white paper course as well. Now things are more moving to the STOs at this point. But yeah, so, the one big deal, our most recent course is our how to select a blockchain platform. And again, because we are Black blockchain consultants, this course is directed towards how to be an effective consultant in this space, as well as forward-facing to companies who are making these decisions. So you'll find all of our courses at blockchainstudies.tech, and we're always adding to our library, and we have additional courses and live courses that we'll be doing too real soon. But what we're really excited about though is what's coming up this summer. Coming summer 2019 will be our BBC virtual conference, June 12th, all day from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Our theme will be discovery, from discovery to mass adoption. And what we'll be covering is blockchain basics, blockchain career and business opportunities. We'll be spotlighting Black-owned blockchain projects, as well as what's happening in Africa and the Caribbean. And we'll learn how to involve ourselves in equity ownership opportunities and focus on blockchain benefits within our own communities. So there will be a tremendous amount of value exchanged during our time together on June 12th. So we do ask that you subscribe at our blackblockchainconsultants.com, get on our mailing list as we finalize our lineup of speakers and other experiences during that day. So, hey, let's get right into our conversation with Chase and Nik now. Hey, you two, thanks for hanging in right there for our little advertisement, but we've got a lot going on with Black Blockchain Consultants and the Center for Blockchain Studies, and we're really proud about what we have accomplished. And likewise, in my discussions with you, Chase, like I said earlier before we started recording here, that I'm just super, super excited about what TryCrypto has been doing. I let you know that I used your videos in my classroom. I'm a high school teacher, and special education teacher at that. And my students always hear me, go on and on about technology. Plus, I'm known in my school and school district as being kind of that go-to person for tech and whatnot, for integrating tech for, transformative teaching and learning experiences. So this really just lines right up with what's next in technology, and I want to know about it. So you make it so easy, you guys, Nik and Chase, what you've done with the videos. It's just tremendous. So I actually did a lesson with my students. So I have it as a free download. I'm going to put it on our website after this session. And if people are interested in seeing what my students said and seeing what I did with leveraging your videos, they can have that.
Yay!
I'll certainly get back to you guys too, obviously. So you guys, tell us how you guys came to be. My goodness.
Oh my, that's a good question. So there's a program that UC Berkeley runs that allows women in the space to get matched with a mentor in blockchain. And I learned about it, did it. Nik and I ended up getting matched up together. And I think from there, it kind of just snowballed into this slowly. Nik, you had the original idea for PhotoBlock, which is one of the components that we're building out and actually have built out now. But that was sort of the basis of TryCrypto, which was essentially accessibility. And then we sort of went from there and thought through how we could further that.
So, you got to talk to us about what that is, what that application is. Nik, talk to us about that.
Sure. Just to follow up on what Chase said, getting together as a mentor or mentee was how we started, but really it was Chase's energy in this that really drove me to say, like, why don't we collaborate and do something? Because I bring a lot of tech experience, but she brings the empathy for users, which is very essential for success in this space. And that makes a very effective combination. So what we're trying to do with TryCrypto is, there's two sides of it. There's the content side, and you've seen the videos that feature Chase. And
We
figured that it can't be one or the other. It can't just be tools, and it can't just be content. We have to approach this problem and make blockchain more accessible from both fronts. And so that's why we are taking it that way. So the first tool that we are bringing is PhotoBlock. And that's more of a component that addresses one of the primary challenges that almost all new users have when they start working with blockchain, which is this confusion around public keys, private keys, mnemonic passphrases, what's an account, what's an address, and my pet peeve, what's a wallet, when there's really nothing like a wallet in the blockchain. It's just a way to express that it's an account that has access, to funds and such. So with PhotoBlock, what we've developed is a visual authentication system that also serves as a way for you to manage your account, manage the funds associated with a blockchain account. And what makes it very unique is, first and foremost, there are no passwords involved. We use a photo with embedded code using a technology called Adobe XMP for storing data, and we use emojis for logging in. So that's the first part, which is unique unto itself. But then we've added several layers of more innovative things. One is that it is blockchain agnostic. So that is a unique thing, because for most blockchains, they're siloed. They only work with one thing or the other. And so we also have added the capability to bridge this divide between Web 2.0 and Web 3.0, because while we in the blockchain space or in the Web 2.0 space look at it that way, for a user, they just look at it as an application. They don't think about the underlying technology. And so we wanted to blur that difference also with the authentication. So in a nutshell, PhotoBlock is designed to help welcome a new user into the world of blockchain while allowing them to stay in the world of Web 2.0 in a very easy manner without all the complexity of password, passphrases, private keys, and all that. We basically shield them from all of that.
And I got to tell you, that is just brilliant, because truly when I talk about what blockchain is, just total high level, you know how it's said that it's Web 3.0. So people understand 2.0, like you're saying. So, and then if I say something like, you know, it's the next web, it's the infrastructure that, you know, you're probably not going to really know is there, you know. So I'm right with you on that, in that, you know, people won't really know the difference once it really starts to function, much like how what we know the internet to be now today. I mean, at one point there were the super long, you know, I don't even know what you call identifiers to get on sites now. And, you know, and I remember the days when, I mean, I'm 51, so I remember the days when you had to dial up and do all that kind of stuff. And, you know, so that's where we're at right now. So for you guys to be quickly, you know, coming along with something that bridges 2.0 and 3.0, that's the thing, that's where to be. And you know what, it's one of those kind of things, Nik, that I really wish you had a demo you could share with us right quick. If
we can do that.
Could we do that? Because we're talking about it, and it's one of those kind of things where, again, I'm a teacher, you know, I need the visual, you know. So thinking about my people I'm trying to reach here with this open meeting, I want people to really see what it is we're talking about. Then we can get to your videos, Chase, where you really explain how it's different, what's really going on different, you know, behind this new technology.
Yeah. So let me share my screen. I'll give you a quick, very quick tour of
viewers
of Photoblock. So in my browser here, I have the Photoblock Alpha. So we are still not feature complete, hence it's an alpha. But you can go check it out at photoblock.org. So what I'm going to do is show you two experiences very quickly. The initial experience is the onboarding experience, how you start using Photoblock, and then how you authenticate with Photoblock. So this being a demo, it's kind of contrived, but ordinarily what you would see is this Photoblock icon would be typically in the place where you have a login button or something like that. But in here, it's at the center of the screen. So when you first launch Photoblock, it invites you to either drop a photo here or upload a photo that already is a Photoblock, or create a new one. So I'm going to go ahead and select a new one here. So let's go ahead and pick a photo. We'll pick Ada Lovelace there. So you can pick any photo you want. It doesn't really matter. And what you have to do now is go through a very simple 3-step process to create your first Photoblock. So when you click next here, you're presented with a grid of emojis. And what you have to do is create a minimum of 4 emoji selections in any order you want. The order you want and the positioning you want is important. And for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to pick a few smileys here just so we can be quick about it. And also, you can pick any of 2,184 emojis. So now that's done. And note that, you know, it put numbers there. That indicates the sequence. Now, just like you would in a Web 2.0 experience, you'll have enter password and then repeat password. That's what we're doing here, just to make sure that you have you remember your emoji key correctly. So we do that, and at this point, we go on to the next step, and it says, "Okay, you are ready. You can now save your Photoblock." So I'll go ahead and hit download, and in a moment, it's going to come up, and it's going to offer to download. Let's see.
It looks like it already did. It was ready to go. It's not even asking you. It wants you to.
Oh, yeah. All right. So now that that's ready, you can select the photo block that was created. And I'll probably put it here in my downloads. So there it is. Yeah. So, so this photo block was created, and I'll go look at it in just 1 second, but let me go through the demo and then I'll show you what the photo block looks like. But now that I've uploaded the photo block, at this point, I now am doing the emulation of what would be logging in for the first time after having created my account. Yeah. So I can show you that it actually works by entering some wrong characters here. So we'll make some deliberate mistakes to show you that it will fail. and it did. So that was obviously wrong. But if I enter the right one, right now in my demo, my context is Ethereum. So what it's going to do is it's going to log me into the Ethereum blockchain and connect me to my account. So we'll do that. And there we go. So it connected me to my Ethereum account, and there's my account right now. And if I launch that, I can go and see that that's my account. Now, because I'm logged in, that photo block icon has now changed to the photo I have. And you can see here that I currently have 3 contexts. I can do web, Bitcoin. We also just added Tron, and we'll keep adding every blockchain that has a decent adoption here as we go. So that's essentially how Photoblock works. It's really very simple. What I want to do very briefly now is to show you the actual photo, what it actually creates. So this is what was created here. So it actually created a photo, and it has embedded within it Ethereum, Bitcoin, and web context. So I can use this interchangeably for all those contexts. So that's, in a nutshell, a very brief demo of Photoblock. We are adding many more capabilities to it, and we should have a beta out next week that is much closer to the final release of the product, which includes the ability to use OAuth so that you can use it on any existing website also, in addition to with blockchain.
I saw that with the www piece there. So this is your application basically, which is the answer to bridging the whole idea of public keys, private keys kind of stuff. Now, obviously, you still need a private key. You still need to understand how to work all that, right?
No, you don't. And that's basically the beauty of this.
Oh, wow.
All you need to know is your emoji key. What happens under the hood for the technically inclined among you is that it is taking the emoji key bytes that you've entered, and it is hashing them against bytes from the photo. It is using that as entropy in order to generate a mnemonic passphrase, and from that it generates an HD wallet. And what it stores in the photo is the address associated with it. There is no private key stored anywhere. When you authenticate with it again, it repeats the process. And if you have entered the correct emoji key and you have the correct photo, then it should produce the same address, and therefore it can look up the private key. So the private key is never actually ever stored anywhere.
Wow, wow, wow. I love it. I tell you, we just came back from a intensive training, and that was one of the questions that was, we were talking about cryptographic hashing and all that kind of stuff, just as a part of our foundations course all over again. And the trainer talked to us about his art that he has, a similar thing like what it looks like here. He has a piece of artwork that has his public key on it, right? So that it looks like that kind of concept there. But we got some questions here about that already. It says, would losing your photo block though be a security risk, No,
because in fact, this is two-factor authentication. It's something you have and something you know. So the photo is something you have, and the emoji key is something you know. So you can give the photo to anybody, and they can try and guess the, I believe, 10 quadrillion combinations of emoji keys there.
Right. Good luck.
And it will be fine. In fact, you can even lose the photo block, and because it's a deterministic process, if you have the original photo you used, you can recreate the photo block as long as you remember the emoji key. So
I was just going to ask you about that piece. So has nothing changed with that? How there's no forgot emoji key kind of thing.
Yeah. So we are in the process of creating a cold storage recovery process for that, but that would be centralized, so it would be an option for the user to choose. But otherwise, what the user should do is back up, the photo to their own storage. But we'll have
so much easier though. Again, so much easier. We can do that. We get that. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, that is really cool. Anyway, so excited about you guys. I got to tell you, that's so exciting. Oh my God. But anyway, moving right along, I'll try to continue.
There was one more question, if you don't mind, I can address that also. It was about whether any photo can be used. And the answer is yes. I mean, literally, any photo you have is just fine. It needs to be a JPEG, but that's a format constraint, not the type, like not that.
Okay, it just has to be a JPEG. Is that the thing? Okay.
Yeah, because JPEGs support the ability to embed metadata as both a type called EXIF, which is the common stuff that your camera puts on there, but the more uncommon type is called Adobe XMP, and that's what we are using under the hood.
Oh,
And
go ahead, Chase. What you got?
to sort of add on to this, like to me, in the conversation of accessibility, I'm seeing like that's cool, and I'm excited that people think that's cool. And it's totally different. But to me, one of the really interesting elements of this, and sort of the zoomed out version, is that it is one credential set, and it can allow you to access all of these different things, which is the fact that it has that OAuth 2 style flow where, and again, we'll keep it non-technical, but just like when you log in with Google to Zoom or to anything else, that is what people are used to. And so being able to provide that flow with something that's cool, like a picture, is to me my favorite part of it all. And I get excited. I'm glad people like it.
I know I'm totally excited because I know that it's, while it seems to be what we've already, we've been doing, that's the part that that's the experience we want to give, but the technology behind it is so much more secure. And that's the part we know as being all about that technology, about blockchain technology.
Yeah.
So excited, I'm telling you guys. Isn't this cool, family? I'm telling you, I love them. Oh my God. Anyway, so moving right along. So what is your process? Being in the Center for Blockchain Studies, we're creating our course, our courses and stuff like that. And, what is your design process? You guys so thoughtfully, design your, purpose-driven education, blockchain education. How do you describe that purpose? How do you describe that process even that you take to break down such, abstract concepts and just break it down? How do you guys make things digestible and understandable? What is that process?
So as far as usability from, we can definitely talk about our process in sort of development and usability stuff, but as far as education goes, the process starts with the most complex stuff. I, for each video, have probably written at least 10 different scripts, and then Nick and I have gone over them, rethought them. So I think it's much harder to make a very complex idea simple. And in that process, I have learned a lot. I thought that I knew a good amount before. I know so much more now because you get into like
Chase, I just want to stop you right there because this is exactly something I want to look right into the camera to my education product committee members, my Black blockchain consultants, because this is exactly why I'm always, requesting you guys to come help out, because it truly is a situation where you will learn while doing. So you don't have to worry about, not understanding something right now. Trust me, when you become the teacher, you learn first. So I'll step back out and let you get back on it.
No, I totally agree. And I've learned a lot about, we try to keep things blockchain agnostic because our products are blockchain agnostic. And I think it makes a lot of sense to make education blockchain agnostic. You want to make sure that it lasts. And the core elements of what's interesting about blockchain from sort of like a very zoomed out perspective and where we try to take things, I think doesn't need to be specifically about Ethereum or any other blockchain. So part of what we've tried to do is make it so that a third grader, I would say, maybe fourth grader could understand what's happening. Maybe not super sort of like in-depth, but they should be able to understand the general components of why blockchain is interesting and potentially innovative. And sort of what I've seen is that some of my friends who think I'm crazy because I sit around and make animated versions of myself as a bird. But, sort of at the end of me showing them this video and like watching their face the whole time, they'll go, so that's what you've been working on for several weeks, Chase? A 2-minute video. And it's like, Yes, that is what I've been working on, because I have gone through the entire process of consensus. And even so, we had a one about blockchain for news. And Nick and I had a multi-day conversation that lasted over, because we do our product development, like Nick said, we do software and education. So we work together on both of those components. And we each spearhead sort of each one, but we very much work together. And so part of the conversation that you end up having is, okay, that's great that people want to use blockchain to authenticate things, but is something that is blockchain to authenticate news, and whether it's true, is that actually truth, or is that just agreement that someone did in fact say, the building's on fire? Does that actually mean the building's on fire? So we have these more philosophical conversations as well, that all of that goes into these videos. But ultimately, I think it's a huge learning opportunity for anyone who wants to learn blockchain. Teach it, and try to teach it at a very simple level.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd second that. In fact, that's I'll just reveal a secret strategy of mine. I sign up at various conferences to pitch a session on technology I know nothing about, because it gives me a hard date to become an expert at something enough to be able to go and present in front of an audience at a conference. Teaching is the best way to learn, guaranteed.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I want you to say that one more time. Just say it again.
I also teach kids coding, and in the past couple of years, probably I've taught 1,500 kids how to code. And it always comes down to this. Every time I'm teaching, I'm learning something new. And it always happens. It comes not only from the process of preparing for the session or preparing your lesson, but it also comes from the interaction, the questions that come up, etc.
Absolutely.
So you must teach to learn. There's just no short.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you, that's why I really love being a special education teacher in particular, because I'm constantly problem solving. I'm having to uniquely see the world through someone else's eyes who, just might not be getting it, because of, just, cognitive issues or whatever. But it pushes me to use universal design for learning, and I love that. I thank my students, because they prepared me for this time, this divine time that we're in right now of disruption. You have to be in a constant state of being comfortable with being, disrupted, just having paradigm shift, so you just have to be really, you have to have a growth mindset, and so anyway, that's why my other little passion is digital literacy. And just keeping people up on, just having these different competencies that present themselves with every new shade of technology.
Yeah.
So I think about the skit that they did on Saturday Night Live about Alexa, and they showed the older people calling it all different kind of things and all this kind of stuff, and hollering really loud and all of that. And there really is a new skill set that presents itself with every technology. So, and again, here's the other thing I'm often reminded of, like the good book says, to whom much is given, much is required. So I think about that with regard to these private keys and public keys and all of that, management of all that kind of stuff, and this blockchain technology. I mean, it opens up everything. There's like no excuses for what it is we can and can't do, can do now, but it also impacts a lot of things that we probably not yet have dealt with. So, those are the kind of things I like to try to bring out with my students, my learners, when we're talking technology, because certainly it makes things super easy, but then it also creates maybe some unintended consequences and things like that. So, but anyway, let me be quiet. Let me let you guys tell your story.
I think it's very in line with that.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah.
And that's what, and really speaking to that, I already see the intersect between us so much. And that's why I was so excited to find out that Chase was here in Michigan with me. Go Michigan, yay. And I cannot wait for us I'll see you face to face on Saturday for the Women in Tech Summit.
Sunday. Sunday, but yes.
Saturday, Sunday. Did I say? I'm sorry, Sunday. Yes, yes, yes.
I want to make sure you don't come here Saturday.
Yeah,
There would be no event to come to.
I'll see you Sunday with my daughters. But anyway, listen, let me ask you this question though. What was your first win? What was your first win that made you confident that you were doing the right thing?
In TryCrypto?
Oh, well, hey, well, in the blockchain space, if you got some other stories, certainly, but if you could tie it in with TryCrypto, that'd be good. Looks like something came to your mind right away, first off.
I think, so this is my sister, who I adore, is 2 years younger than me, and she has been she was, until this moment, she told everyone who asked, like, what I was doing, that I was doing Bitcoin stuff, which is not correct. Fully. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's not it. That is not the whole point. No. And I have actively tried to not explain blockchain to everyone around me until I show them a Merkle video, because I want to test whether or not the videos actually work. And I know that those people will be brutally honest with me. So the first Merkle video that we made, which took a long time and was a learning experience, she watched and actually understood it and actively was like, okay, so you're not only doing stuff with Bitcoin. And to me, it does not matter who else watches the video. If I can convince my sister, who thinks that I'm doing things with Bitcoin and that's it, that there's something else,
yes,
we're set.
I know.
That was for me.
On that is huge. I hear you. Because I'm trying to get to that point where my kids are not like, oh my God, there she goes with the blockchain again. Everything's not about blockchain, Mom, So if I can get them to turn, so I'm hoping maybe this will happen Sunday, that they'll be able to see that, it's not just me, in my little bubble, But anyway, how about you, Nik? What made you?
So for me, it's
that's awesome story.
To go a little back in time. So I'm an immigrant. I came from India to actually Michigan. I went to Western Michigan in Kalamazoo.
Yes,
Michigan. And for me, I my first big win was the day I had my first startup venture funded for $7 million. So that happened in about 10 years from the day I arrived, and that was after I had sold my first consulting company. And so for me, that was a win because I knew the American dream was actually true. I am an immigrant. I came here. I studied. I started a consulting company. I sold it, and I started an internet startup and got venture funding. And that was a big win for me. It was like, yes, that dream is alive and it is possible. If you are willing to work for it, anything is possible. So it was big.
All right. I guess that would be a win and a half, I'd say.
Except for the fact that he was in Ohio at the time, which for anyone in Michigan,
I know it's like
I'm soiling Nick.
Cincinnati, yeah.
But you know what? We have so much love for Ohio, though, in this group. I got to tell you, because goodness, Cleveland with the Blockland and all of that going on. Yeah, we got love for the Midwest. We're just becoming one big happy family now with regard to blockchain. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some interesting things I'm hearing about in the Midwest and blockchain, which is exciting.
Yes, we're all trying to do this thing. So listen, so you guys brought up some really good points here. Do you have any advice at all for Black blockchain consultants who may wish to start blockchain businesses, or who wish to partner with you guys in our shared mission of educating the masses about blockchain?
We're always open to things. We're open source, first of all, which is anyone who wants to get involved. But also, I think ultimately, engaging with us, we're open source in almost every way. I think we try to be super open and transparent with everything that we're doing. So software development, but also educational development. So if you have ideas or thoughts or, whatever it is, that's as far as TryCrypto goes. For me, I come from a non-technical background because I'm a business student and I cannot code. Nik is slowly teaching me, but I can't code. So I get the whole coming from sort of that background. Yeah. And to me, I had two big sort of like breakthrough things. Number one was, oh my God, there's so much information on the internet. And number two was being able to talk with someone like Nik. And I'm so lucky and grateful to have him because he has such a deep understanding of the technology. And if he doesn't, he learns it and then has a deep understanding of it. And being able to talk with people like Nik, I think is also so important.
Yes. So Nik, you got any more space under your wings for some more mentees?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in terms of advice, I don't feel qualified to give any advice, but I come from the school of hard knocks, so I can tell you what I have learned, and then for what it's worth. So I'm on startup number 6 now, a few of them venture funded. So the first thing I would say in this blockchain space is to make sure that you go very clearly in knowing that blockchain is not the solution for everything. You need to be very sure about that and make sure the world knows about it, because just because it's a hammer, not everything should be a nail, kind of, right? So make sure that you only present blockchain as a solution when there are multiple untrusted parties. That's the key way to look at it. Mm-hmm. The second thing is, if you're going to start a business, my first startup, like I worked in a corporation for 1 year, and on the 1 year anniversary, I said I quit because I hated companies, and I started a consulting company. So I've done that. And the one thing that you should do is don't do it yourself. Find a co-founder who is complementary to your skills. So you want to find someone whose strengths are those things that you are not strong at, and so you can build a solid business. You also need someone to commiserate with the wins and the losses. You need someone you can confide in and all that. So that's an important thing. I would not go it solo, and I'm very fortunate to have Chase, and in my other startup, my co-founders are also really really great to have, and I learn from them. The other thing is, don't look for leads for your business. Have the leads come to you, and you do that using inbound marketing. In other words, don't waste your time on selling. Present yourself. Create a blog, create a podcast, speak at conferences, etc. Position yourself as a thought leader and allow the leads to come to you. It's going to be more efficient, and you're going to get extremely high quality business that way. The next thing is, whatever you're doing, whether it's consulting, whether it's product, etc., create painkillers, not vitamins. Vitamins are optional. When the economy is down, people skip them. But painkillers, people need all the time. They will need your services or your product all the time. Do that. Focus on that. The last thing is, and it might seem ridiculous that I'm saying this, but fail early and fail often. Just remember that failure is a necessary step on the way to success. You only fail if you stop trying. So take the risks, fail, get up, move on, and keep trying. Because all the successful people you see in the world, they didn't just go from zero to success. Mm-hmm. They went through a path of many failures, and the only reason they're successful is because they did not stop along the way. That's it. So that would be my insights.
Goodness gracious, Nik, you just preached that. You really, really did. I love it. And I tell you, one of my hashtags is fail forward. That's my whole, again, being an educator and working with learners with barriers to their learning and that kind of thing. It's like a fail forward. I mean, to fail is to learn, as long as you are indeed learning from your failures, But my goodness, so what is your suggestion in terms of where do we find these people? How do you get around these people that are like-minded like this? Because it's like you were saying, Chase, you were in a formal situation that paired you with a mentor. And where are those kind of opportunities? That's pretty doggone, and that's pretty cool.
Well, I'm on campus, so I have some interesting opportunities because I can find all the blockchain people through, affinity,
that's right, university
organizations. Mm-hmm. But I also think that whenever I talk with people who I can tell have like that fire, like Nik and I think worked well together because we have a similar energy, and you have that energy too. And when people have that energy, I think you can start to to sense it. And I am a big person who likes to share blockchain with people and sort of get them hooked. So there's certainly something to be said for finding people within organizations. And there's also something to be said for starting to build your own community of blockchain lovers.
Yes, yes. Well, we definitely have, we are the blockchain lovers in BBC, that is for sure. Building community. And I know we found much success in connecting through LinkedIn. And like even us hooking up, you know, you and I, Chase, it was because of just like you were talking about, Nik, me actually stepping out and taking an opportunity that came to me through LinkedIn to be a judge for the Pitch Fest here in Detroit, the first Pitch Fest. And I was just like kind of, you know, stepping back at first, but then I went to another meetup where the person, I was just telling the person that I had this opportunity. He was like, oh, that's our friend over there. Adam was the one who invited you. I was like, oh, well, shoot, let me talk to Adam. Let me go ahead and do this, you know. So in so doing, I met Brian Tuck, who spoke of you, Chase. I reached out to you via LinkedIn, and here we are. You added in Nik, and oh my goodness, I think this has been a tremendous use of our time. Nik, you were wondering or concerned about adding value. You blew it out the water. Yes. All of you guys. I'm telling you, it's such a pleasure to have spent our time together. I usually just like to take about an hour, so I don't want to hold up your time, but I do want to open things up to our visitors here on Facebook and on, oh, you know what, and I haven't been monitoring Facebook. I guess I should look there. Maybe somebody could help me out with that in BBC here. Anybody have any questions to put into, oh, I do, I'm sorry, that's my fault. Here's the Q&A right here. There are questions right here. Let's see, I think we actually had that answered already, okay. Is the metadata, is the photo metadata included with photo block? Did you answer that question already?
Well, the question, earlier question was about which types of photos to be used. So yes, the answer is metadata is included with the photo block. So what we do is we inject additional data in there, which is all the various accounts. So when you create a photo block, you're really creating accounts for Ethereum, Bitcoin, web, etc. And those account addresses are put in there.
Oh, okay. And then it says, I think we answered that. I think, is the user limited to a library of photos, or can you use any? Yeah, we said that. Yeah, you can use any. And the other one was just a reminder for me to record the session. Yeah, I would have been super sad if I had not done that. Super sad. So, any other questions, guys? Let's see. I guess I should try to see if there's something on Facebook. And anybody see anything on Facebook? I don't know how to do
I can never figure out how to use Facebook.
I know. Let me see if there's something on Facebook. If you guys out there are looking or somehow watching on Facebook to see if there are any questions, I don't want to miss anything because this has been such a great session. And you know what, and I don't want to mess it up by fooling around and lose. Oh, good. There you go. No questions on Facebook. Good. Laugh out loud. Don't laugh at me, Eric and Peru. So anyway, no Facebook comments. But you know what, guys? Thank you so very much for your time. Let me just ask you this one big thing more specifically. Again, understanding who we are, Center for Blockchain Studies, a group of professionals who are interested in blockchain, interested in getting our hands dirty and rolling up our sleeves on some projects so we can learn by doing, as well as help the mission of promoting mass adoption. Is there any you guys hiring at all? Is TryCrypto hiring or have any projects at all that we can tap into?
Well, I mean, TryCrypto is an open source volunteer project at the moment. So I would say, yes, we are hiring, but you won't get paid. You won't get paid in terms of what you learn. I guarantee you would learn a lot in a very short amount of time. So, and as I mentioned before, putting yourself out there, this is a sort of inbound marketing. You participate in open source projects, etc., and that's how you get found. That's how you find partners. That's how you find business. So
And let me ask you this too, because a lot of times when I hear open source projects and that kind of thing, it often is, developer type stuff. So is there a way that are buzzwords we should use that are the right things to say to those folks who maybe they aren't even really realizing that they need somebody beyond another coder kind of thing?
Yeah. So here's the philosophy around contributing to block source that's important for people to understand is when you want to participate in a open source project that you find you could lend your skills to, you don't ask, you don't talk about it, you do it. So you just offer what you have. You solve a problem, a small problem, and you present that solution. That's how you establish credibility. That's how you establish trust, and that's how you get yourself known to people, because everybody talks about doing stuff. Very few people actually do stuff. So find an interesting open source project, go to their issues tab on GitHub and solve one of those problems and submit a pull request. A pull request is your solution to that problem, essentially. And there you go. You're off to the races at that point.
And I believe you. I absolutely believe you. That's a great tip. Thank you so much. Let's see, we have one more question here. What are the common platforms that companies are using for developing and testing blockchain services?
Yeah, so blockchain services is a really broad term. So let's actually parse that out and say what that really means. So in the context of developing dApps, decentralized applications, you would have your typical front end, and then you would have your backend API, and then you would have all the stuff that interacts with the blockchain. In the case of most public blockchains today, Ethereum is by far the leader in that space. And so for that, you would use a framework called Truffle. Truffle comes with a fake sort of blockchain that you can run on your desktop called Ganache. So if you just Google Truffle, that's sort of the de facto standard that people use for developing Ethereum smart contracts in the Solidity language. And of course, that's coupled on the front end with a library called Web3.js. So that's your standard stack, if you will, for that. Of course, if you're doing permissioned or private blockchains, then Hyperledger seems to be the leader there with Composer.
And Chase, you were saying that you're learning code. What code are you learning?
Well, Nik is, so I find that as I continue things, I slowly walk the line, because I understand a lot of, I understand the back end of what's happening with Photoblock, but I could not build Photoblock. So I'm starting with Node.js on something that's totally different and and Nik is slowly helping me take the steps. Because I talk about this a lot to people on campus too. I think part of the reason that Nik and I do well together, other than us sort of just naturally, I think, being a good fit, is that we give and take, and I learn a lot from him, and then he considers all of what I'm thinking about with user empathy and sort of being a non-developer and coming from that side. And so I think a lot of working in this industry and as I'm starting to learn in general is the give and take. So that's what I'm slowly starting to do, is a little bit of the give, and then I learn, and then I can actually communicate with people. So I'm walking that line. We'll see how far I get on either side.
I'm telling you, Nik, you sound like such a great person. I'm telling you, I'm so glad to have met you through Chase. I guess I'll end out this session by saying, as I don't think I have any more questions I'm noticing anywhere. Oh, wait, there's something. Hold on. Let's see one second.
Content
here. What content development software do you use for creating training, Chase?
So I use a variety of things, mostly. So I use Animaker for a lot of the animations that are on the base level of things, and then Adobe Character Animator for Merkle, which is really fantastic. If you don't know how to animate and you want to do it, it is so easy to learn. It tracks your facial movements, so you don't have to do every single thing. You have to set it up. There's some
Yeah.
initial stuff, but it's really, really cool. And if you have the ability, I would recommend checking it out because it's
Oh
cool.
my goodness, now you're in my wheelhouse. I love that kind of stuff. Oh my goodness. So wait, that one's called what now? And
Adobe
it's
Character
totally expensive.
Animator.
Is it totally expensive?
It's part of the Adobe Creative Suite, but I'm sure you can get it. I think you can get it by itself.
Not too bad.
I'm sure you can try it out. Like I'm sure they have some sort of free trial, but it's very cool.
Oh my goodness, I'm about my gadgets, so that would be wonderful. I'll be checking that out big time.
It is awesome.
Okay, great question. Thanks for that question. That was at Beverly. Thank you. All right, any other questions before I have them leave out? We're doing really well with our time, 7:59. Well, wow, I don't see any other questions here, but what I will ask you guys is let's close it out by hashtagging this event. How would you hashtag this event?
I would say, and this goes with everyone's mission, accessible. Because as much as we talked about tech, we also, I think, it was pretty easy to follow. And I think that's difficult to do in today's blockchain world. So I'm happy about that.
So hashtag accessible for you. How about you, Nick?
Well, I think all of you guys are rock stars, so I would say, keeping in the spirit of blockchain, it would be hashtag blockstars.
I like that.
I like that a lot. Yeah. Blockstar.
This has been hashtag blessed, you guys. Hashtag blessed, okay?
Thank you so much for having us.
Blockchain Studies Education Product Committee meeting. This has been wonderful. Our fabulous guests, Chase, Chapman, and Nik Kalyani. My goodness, you guys are always, always welcome. And I'll be working with you guys. I'm putting myself with you to work. I'll be looking for some kind of problem. So throw out a problem for me to solve. My goodness, I will be there to try it out because
We love that.
So badly. This is great.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. And like I was saying, I did use the TryCrypto videos. I had my students watch the, what is blockchain, and then the voting videos, and I had them do a reflective journal on it. And so I've pulled together a little a document that gives that lesson and gives their feedback. So again, I'll figure out how to upload everything to our website, and I'll make it downloadable, and I'll certainly send you guys one, no problem.
Awesome.
Everybody else listening, I'll have that downloadable, and you can come to blockchainstudies.tech to get that free download. All right, thank you so very much, you guys, tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Have a great evening. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Alrighty, bye-bye. I'll see you Sunday, though, Chase.
Yes, I will see you Sunday.
Okay, bye-bye. Good night.